My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello, welcome back once again to the Rimworld and the Feralisk infested jungle, although I use that term at the moment quite loosely because, as we can see here, well, with our more than a few junglisks on the map, and there certainly aren't as many as there was a few episodes ago. Obviously, the issue with having fewer Feralisks is that if we have a well-armed raiding party who decide to wander on and pay us a visit, there's a good chance that they will be able to combat the Feralisks and make it to our walls. At the moment, we have absolutely no defences apart from some rudimentary steel and wooden walls constructed. So in the near future, perhaps not this episode, but at some point, some sort of offensive defence, if that makes sense, you know, an actual spike trap and the likes, maybe some gun positions, is going to be needed. We've got a quest here, the adorable Maine Coon. Sophia Kasari, a countess of the Empire of the Spirit, is making a request. She wants you to take care of her favourite pet, the marine coon Hermine, at Tona River for 10 days. Okay, Hermine is suffering from paralytic abasia and must be kept in a bed. Well, that's quite an interesting challenge. We don't have a bed, but we could get more Glitterworld medicine. We have 2 units at the moment. It expires in 4.5 days, so we do have time to think about that one. Obviously, we would have to construct a bed for the Maine Coon. We don't have any cloth on hand to construct. We have 28. I don't think that's enough for an animal sleeping bed. And we would have to feed it, obviously. But I don't think food is much of an issue at the moment. We've got plenty of corn on hand. And we've got a decent, well, we've got 15 meals stockpiled for our colonists. How much would it actually cost us to construct a bed? Let's just have a quick look. So an animal bed costs 40 cloth. And we can only construct it out of cloth, although we can make a sleeping box. And that's out of 25 wood. This is for smaller animals, as it says there, chickens, cats, or small dogs. I believe a Maine Coon would be small enough for this. Let's go ahead and construct a small wooden sleeping box just there. And once that's constructed, we'll actually accept that quest. In the meantime, we have another one here. A prisoner being held by the God Rig has managed to steal a radio and call you. She is a mathematician. There's an enemy at the gate post, 2 pirates, and there may be an unknown threat. We've got 26 days to decide on this one. We can't see any further information about Mary, so we don't know what sort of personality traits she possesses. The mathematician does tend to say to me she would be a decent researcher, if nothing else. But she could be a pyromaniac, she could be abrasive, creepy breather. There could be all sorts of other things wrong with her, so it would be a bit of a roll of the dice if we do accept that quest. I'd like to address a comment that was made, I think it was in the previous episode, about having perhaps more research benches. At the minute we've got 2, because we do have times when our colonists are idle, James especially. It's an idea, however, the only other decent researcher we have is Garcia, and I'd rather her be preparing meals rather than, you know, James researching. So if she's preparing the meals, and Python and Leslie can occupy the research spots. So I'm not sure if an extra research bench at this point is necessary yet. It might be in the future. And if we were to have one, we would only have 3 research benches because James's research skill is very poor, only 1.27, whereas at least Leslie is acceptable, 5.72. I think Garcia's is up around about 15 or 16, and Python's quite handy as well. Speaking of research, of course, as we can see, we've now researched septic tanks. So we'll pause it in the background so we can take a good look through and decide what we want next. Saunas, maybe. Not a bad idea. I wonder if there's anything a little bit more pressing we could focus on, though. Something that's really going to improve our colonists' day-to-day. Well, we need autopsy. just so we can harvest organs post-mortem. And it's only 250 research points, so we should get that done fairly quickly. As I was saying, yeah, Python's fairly decent, 5.71, and Garcia, yeah, nearly 17, so I'm happy with 2 research benches, because then whoever's not researching, whether it be Leslie or Garcia or Python, they can progress on with something else. For example, obviously Garcia can do cooking, Leslie can do some plant harvesting and sowing, Python's a decent constructor and a miner. And I've also unpaused the build, the order to make stone blocks. So all of our colonists are set for level 3 priority crafting. So if they are idle, I know James is idle at the minute, that's only because Leslie's occupying the crafting spot. At least then they can do something to busy themselves. And if they are idle, as we see James at the minute, they are inclined, at the first sign of a bit of dirt appearing, they will go and clean it up, which is also really, really good. It's nice to have a clean base. It keeps the risk of infection quite low. What just got killed there? I'm not sure, but there's autopsy done already. So let's have a look through. Obviously, we've checked all these tabs prior to selecting autopsy. There was nothing that really stood out, perhaps saunas. What about on here? Perhaps something for artistic production wouldn't be a bad idea. Then we could have any of our idle colonists working on some artwork. I don't think any of them are too skilled with the old artistic endeavours at the moment, but the more practice they get, the higher level they will achieve. Farming techniques, I don't think that really unlocks much at this moment. Just an animal feeder and a scarecrow, which we don't really need. Crossbow, that's appealing, or warbow, that's also quite appealing. If we don't use them, then we could sell them. Noble apparel, it would, you know, that's not really critical at this time. Plate armor, perhaps. Although I think we are still at this point relatively safe, thanks to the junglisks that we have on the map. Anything further along? Crude torture methods. It unlocks human level. Well, I think we can get that anyway from a butcher's table. Let's go for that. Again, it's quite a quick one. 200 research points, so it won't take us too long. Now, let's go to our artistic skills here. So Python's level 4, well, 3.5. Leslie, 0. James, 1. Garcia is incapable. Do we have an artistic bench? We do have an art bench here. So I think the next research will be along the lines of our artistic production, whether that be statues and so on, because that's another job we can have our colonists do to cut down on the amount of time they're idle, even if they're just sat there chugging away, knocking out a load of statues. It's stuff we can dot around our base. Obviously, the downside is it's going to increase the colony wealth, and that's going to encourage stronger and more betterly armed raiding parties to pay us a visit, which, as I said at the start, could be an issue because the junglist population has subsided somewhat over the past few episodes. I guess that's just because there's not a lot of stuff around for them at the moment to eat and sustain a large population. So let's just have a look what priority our colonists have artistic set to. Python's level 2. I'm going to drop that to level 3. Leslie can go to level 4, as can James. So if there's nothing else to do, they will start knocking out some artistic statues once we get the builds set up. And that will keep them occupied. What are they killing there? A monkey. Okay. Yes, moving on, however, we have this quest, didn't we? Which one was it? Where's it gone? Has it disappeared already? Oh no, it's not active, it's available. Yes, this one. We have the sleeping spot now constructed. I think we've got plenty of food to sustain a Maine Coon. I guess they're not going to eat too much. So shall we accept that for the Glitter World medicine? It's always nice to have a good supply of that. Let's do it. Where are you landing? You are landing inside the safe zone, which is great. Who's not... Garcia, you're idle at the moment, so could you please go and rescue Hermine? No reachable, unreserved animal bed in a safe temperature. Okay, then I guess you do... Yes, okay, so you are too large for that, so we can deconstruct that straight away. And I think until we have our cloth harvested, we are just going to have to go with a sleeping spot then. What's Garcia? You're researching. James, you're knocking some stone blocks together. Python, you can go and... Oh, yeah, you've already done it. You're going to rescue Hermine. That's crude torture methods. Let's go back now and have a look. I think we'll go for the war bow. Or maybe even long blades. Yeah, we'll go for long blades. I think all of our colonists do have ranged weaponry at the moment. But if we could start constructing some bladed weaponry, axes, swords and the likes, then at least we could produce them, keep them on hand and sell them to any passing traders who manage to make it to our map safely, which has been quite a few as of late. So James is trying to convert Python. I'd rather Python convert to James. I need to do some research into ideology and what is the best way to encourage people to convert and be converted. So I'll look at that between episodes, and of course I will also welcome any suggestions down below if anybody has experience with it. I've not really dug too deeply into the ideology side of things since the DLC was released, so I will happily accept any pointers and advice on that front. In the meantime, we've run quite low on wood. We only have 2 full stacks and a half stack there. So I think we'll go ahead and get some more wood harvested. This will keep a few of our colonists busy for a while. And we'll do a large bulk harvest as well, just to keep our supplies nicely topped up. And it'll keep them busy for a few days if nothing else. Okay, so Hermine has got the plague. Let's just jump to location here. And before we unpause it, given that we have... Oh, should we just use the herbal medicine? Yeah, we'll just stick to the herbal medicine, actually. And I say waste. I don't want to use the Glitterworld medicine on Hermine. However, I guess if she does die from the plague, then the Empire are not going to be best pleased with us. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Do we use one of our... Well, it would use half of our Glitterworld medicine, hoping it would keep her alive, then we'd get another 6 drop in as a quest reward. I think that's... Yeah, we'll do that. Let's do it. Best quality medicine. Who is our best medic? So I think it is Garcia. 4. Oh no, James is a 5. Leslie is a 6, so it's going to be Leslie. So once you've washed your hands, Leslie, could you please tend to Hermine? Oh, you're going to use the herbal medicine, fair enough. That's a 10 quality of 34%, which is not too bad at all. So we'll keep an eye on the immunity versus the infection rate and see which looks like it's going to be hitting 100% first. The harvesting progresses, which is good. One thing I did want to do, in fact we'll do it in this episode, is build a little workshop. So the stonecutter's table, the art table, and perhaps even the tailor bench and the tailor cabinet would all be relocated into the new workshop. In the workshop we'll also have a smithy's bench and anything else that we feel we're going to need. And given its proximity to our stockpile, I think we'll have it up here, and it'll be a fairly large room, sort of like this sort of space. So if we just go to our planning, once we've sorted out our research, let's go for Warbow. Yes, if we go to the planning tool, so we'd have the access point would be there, and we'd have it sort of like this sort of size, fairly substantial. And this would be where all our production facilities go, as I said, the art bench, stonecutter bench, and so forth. So I think that's what we'll do today, or at least make a start on today. Whether or not we get it finished is a different matter. We want a wooden door just there. And then once that's done, we'll start moving things in. We'll get it nicely furnished and decorated. There have been a few comments as well on the topic of decoration about smoothing the stone floors. It's a possibility, however, I'm more inclined to wait for the cotton to be harvested. It's 90%, so it's not far off. And then just lay down carpets. We have a raid. How well armed are they? Knife. Oh, they have a bloody... Oh, I thought that was a minigun. It's a makeshift LMG. And a steel club. Let's see how these... Oh, there's one more there. He was very well camouflaged, but you just have a steel light club, so nothing too concerning there. The Junglisks are not at all interested in them. I guess they must have just eaten, which is quite unfortunate. So that means we're going to have to call on our colonists. I think all of them are equipped with ranged weaponry, makeshift rifle, a pump shotgun, a musket, and a machine pistol. Okay, so yes, you're all carrying ranged weaponry. So let us allow use of the door and hold it open to funnel our little visitors down this way, and we'll get our colonists into this little safe zone here. Okay, so we've started a fire. Could you go and extinguish a fire for me, please? Okay, so they have now broken through down here, as we can see. So Python and Leslie, let's get you to move forward just a little bit. And take care of the one who's breached our defences. Okay, our other attacker has also breached. And he is quite close to James there, so James could be in a bit of trouble. Just move him. Okay, James is in a lot of trouble here. He's been penned in. Garcia, get over here and help him. The first two attackers are down. James, keep moving back. You're oh god, James is now bleeding out. Garcia, retreat, retreat, retreat. If we take down one more, the last one should fall back. There we go. However, we are going to finish you off as punishment. So if you could all prioritise attacking him. There we go. Leslie, you're our #1 medic. Stabilise James immediately. Garcia, can you firefight? No, you cannot. Python, get that fire put out. And then we need to get these walls and doors repaired ASAP, because the junglisks might suddenly start to take a bit of an interest in us. So we want structure. Just the wooden door's fine. That's not been destroyed. It's just the wall here. Let's have a steel wall there. And then we should be good. Let's allow... We don't want the smoke leaf joint. We'll allow the LMG. You didn't carry anything of interest. Neither did you. In fact, you're not even dead. So, Leslie, once you've stabilised James... Okay, that's now got up to 8 hours. It was 4 hours originally, so that's really, really good. Luckily, the junglisks, they've fallen asleep, so that's fine. No immediate danger on that front. Python, I want you to prioritise working on the wooden door and then the steel wall. Leslie, what are you doing? You're hauling a musket. Also, shall we rescue James as well while we're here? That might be quite a nice thing to do. So that was a bit of a close call. So, as I said, we certainly need to look at adapting our defensive lines and improving them, so we have something a bit more offensive in position. So I'm thinking what we'll do is along here in this area and in this area, when it's safe to do so, we'll put some spike-trapped corridors in place, so they have to funnel through to get to the door. And that should be enough to thin out any herds before they do reach us. Python is quite annoyed because he's having to build overnight. But we need to get this done. There we go. We are now safe. So let's get everything hauled back. The 2 weapons. The colonists, sorry, the raiding party is now all dead. Omnis is also dead, as we can see. So we were reasonably successful. We suffered 1 downed colonist, but no fatalities, which is really, really good. How's James doing? He should be up and about pretty soon, hopefully. We'll keep an eye on him. Speaking of which, how is Hermine? The immunity is outstripping the rising plague infection rate, so that's really good. So she should survive. James is up and about, as we can see. So far, so good. I think what we'll do is once our colonists are back to normal, shall we say, especially Python, whose sleep schedule is now a bit disturbed thanks to the overnight repairs we had to conduct, we shall start planning out our next, what do I want to call it? Our next line of defences, that's what I'm looking for. What I'm going to do is actually just cancel that. That means they can't access this, so they won't start mining this. because the priority for me right now, as that just indicated, is sorting out our defences. So how do we want to arrange it? Let's use the planning tool here. So I think we'll have all this as a wall down to there. In fact, I imagine their target would be the door. So if we have it like that... No, remove that plan. There we go. If we move the door down to here and leave it... No, if we leave it... In fact, yes, we can leave it open. Because if the Jungalisk's taken... In fact, yes, we can. Because we have a secondary door here. So that even if this door is open, the Jungalisks can't reach us. So we can get rid of that door and have an opening here. That way the raiders have to come all the way up here and down here, down to the very bottom before they can even access our base. And we can then leave that as it is, because they would be encouraged via their pathfinding AI to head for this way, because there's already an open avenue for them. And then we'll just have a series of spike traps along this corridor with a wall down here, and hopefully that will be enough for the time being to keep us at least somewhat safer than we are at the moment. So let's go ahead and plan that. So we would want our spike traps. So here's where the entrance is going to be at this one. So we'd have a spike trap there, there, and there. And if we go for that many for now, I think 6 should be enough to handle... In fact, we'll go for a few more. We'll go for 8. 8 spike traps should be more than enough to handle any raiding party that comes our way. And what we'll do is put doors between each spike trap so that our colonists can safely get to any damaged spike traps without having to walk over any that have not yet been triggered. Therefore, they're not going to risk triggering themselves. So that's how we're going to handle that. Hopefully it will work. I'm not sure if we have enough steel for all of that. Possibly, possibly not. The spike traps are quite expensive. So what we'll do, we'll get this ore vein mined out once again. Stop up our ore supplies. And then we'll start work overnight once we're in a decent enough position to do so. How's your play coming on? Let's have a look. I guess have you been tendered again? Not yet, but you're almost got full immunity anyway, so no concerns there. James, you've not developed any infections or anything from your injuries, which is really, really good. So for you, it should hopefully now just be a matter of time before you're up and about and a productive member of our colony once again. So what we'll do now is, first of all, we'll ban the use of the doors once again. And that will just prevent our colonists from going out and working on this ahead of schedule. Obviously, we want to do this overnight when the Jungalisks are all sleeping. And then we want to start planning out where we want it. So we want steel wall down here. In fact, we could get away with it like that. So let's just cancel that and that. And then we want steel spike traps all along here. But we're also going to want some doors. We also want to deconstruct that. And then we want wooden doors. I suppose wood is more renewable than the steel, so we'll use wood for all of these doors. Have wooden doors down there. And then in security, we want steel spike trap. Like so. So that's going to cost us a heck of a lot of steel to accomplish. But once this ore vein has been fully mined out, I think we're going to be okay. Should have more than enough. So Python's starting work on the doors. James, how are your injuries coming along? You're not doing too badly. Still no infections or anything. Got a group of travellers passing by. The Jungalisks, once again, are paying no attention to them, as we can see. So I guess they're quite well sustained on the local wildlife at the moment, which means we probably could go ahead and start working on our traps already. So why don't we do that? So, could you prioritise constructing these doors for me? Once those doors are done, you should then be able to start constructing the steel walls and the spike traps. Garcia is trying to convert Leslie. Very interesting. Didn't succeed, although her belief level, I suppose you could call it, did drop somewhat due to the attempt. I've had some feedback about this terrain rehabilitation mod, and it seems everybody agrees it's a bit too cheesy and cheaty to continue using it, so we're not going to do any more of that soil laying because there's no observable downside to it, and it's just far too easy. It doesn't cost anything to do, and it just makes it far too, well, like I said, far too easy. So there'll be no more of that being used. We'll keep that bit of soil, and other than that, we're just going to pretend the mod does not exist at all. So Python's now awake, so I think we'll start working on the first steel traps. We should have enough steel in reserve to at least get a few thrown up. And then we'll build... In fact, no, we'll build the wall first. Ooh, we've got some cargo pods crashing by. So they're outside of our safe zone. What do they have in them? Just masala chai. Not interested in that. As we can see, the junglists there took an interest in Python, so they're looking for food at the moment. So what we want to do is make sure they don't start using those doors. And we'll also just cancel that deconstruction order as well. And we'll get Python out there once night falls. His sleep schedule's already a bit screwed up thanks to the raid and the repair work he had to perform. So we may as well use him while his schedule's already a mess. And then he can go out overnight and start work on the improved defensive line that we're putting together. As we can see, we've now got plenty of wood in stock. Perhaps I went overkill on the wood, but I don't know. For me, you can never have too much wood. And since it does regrow pretty fast, and we have a full map full of trees that we could harvest if we wanted to, there's no harm in overstocking, I don't think. The only downside is it's taking up space in our stockpile zone, obviously, but we do use it pretty fast with our log boiler and with our torches, so it's all good. And obviously we use it to fuel our stove as well. Python, what are you doing at the moment? You're harvesting at the moment. I'm guessing round about now, yep, everything is going to sleep. So Python, I want you to start working on these walls, please. I know you'd like to sleep, I appreciate that. But for me, the priority right now is getting this defensive line sorted out. So we'll queue up a big load of steel construction work for you to take care of overnight. You're going to be very annoyed at me. But it's better than being killed by a raiding party, I'm sure you'll agree, Python. I think what we'll also do is we'll have a small stockpile. In fact, we'll do this now before we go any further. What we're going to do, we're going to put a small stockpile zone down here. Just say like that. That should be enough. And this is going to only take the steel. So we want storage, clear all. We don't want any foods, blah, 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 blah. Raw resources, compacted steel, there you are, nothing else, and your priority is going to be critical. So that means Python, we should now be able to get you to haul the steel, or you should start hauling the steel down. What's the priority on this? Oh, it's normal, so yes, you should be encouraged to start bringing the steel down. In fact, there we go, we can haul urgently. We'll take it all down there. That way we have a small selection on hand, not only for the construction, but for any repair work that we need to take care of, because obviously these traps will get triggered over time. More cargo pods. What do we have? A load of apples. Quite interesting, but I think we're pretty okay on the food front. Our rice is almost ready for harvest, and we've still got plenty of corn on hand anyway, so that's not a concern. We can leave the apples. Now, Leslie, you might get a little bit... In fact, we can do that again just to keep you safe. So you're just hauling the steel down, so that's fine. And this is just going to make Python's construction efforts a lot more efficient because he doesn't have to travel as far to pick up some steel for the blueprints. So that's what we're doing there. I don't think this deteriorates outside. No, it does not. We have a visitor. He's a sheriff from Enber. This is Morgan Cranberryhurst, and he does have some items to trade. However, I think the junglisks are hungry. Yes, they are. Here they come. So I'm afraid you're in a bit of trouble there. The positive to that is if that corpse is enough to sustain the junglisks, we can get our colonists working on these construction efforts during the daytime. Although, look at that, they are lingering fairly close, so it would be quite risky just on the off chance they do fancy another snack. I'm going to try it. Leslie, you construct, don't you? Yes, you're one of our constructors. I think you are. Let's have a look. Yes. No, you're not. It's James. James, do me a favour, good sir. Just quickly build that steel spike trap and see what happens with the junglisks. Okay. That didn't work. I thought they might have had their appetite satisfied, but clearly not. So we'll continue this overnight when it's safe. In fact, night is falling pretty soon. As we can see, it's now 6 o'clock in the evening, so a couple of hours the junglisks should all be asleep, so Python can then go and do his overnight work. Everybody else can just tend to their own or use their own AI to determine what to do next. Python, what I'd like you to do is, before you go out, is have a bite to eat and then play some chess. Let's get your bars as filled up as possible, just to keep your mood nice and high, or at least out of the mental break risk zone. Should now be safe to head on out there. Indeed it is. So let's quickly pause it, allow use of the doors, and then Python, get these walls constructed. You have plenty of steel here. Whether or not that's enough to finish the whole construction order, I'm not sure. But there should be enough to keep us going. I think what we'll also do is we'll chop some wood down here, and we'll have... Oh, we'll use that... What, Python, what are you doing? Don't rest. Yes, we'll use the wood from these trees down here to construct the doors, rather than sending Python back and forth all night collecting the wood. Let's just queue up a big order here for you, Python. There we go. That should get the wall completed tonight. Or not, because you decided to go rest again. So let's get these constructed, because these have the resources in place. And let's just finish off the wall. Hopefully we can get this done. It's still 4 o'clock, so you've got a couple of hours here, Python. There you go. Come over this side and then construct that, please. Okay, so that's triggered the junglisks as expected. Let's get these doors constructed as well and just disallow use of them. No, we don't want to repair. We want to work... Okay, you're going to... We'll let you... No, go to sleep now. You can sleep if you like. Anyway, yes. So it's going to be a bit of micromanaging on those construction efforts. That's fine. What's everybody else up to? Just taking care of business. Nobody's repairing or refueling our wooden torches. James, what are you up to? You're harvesting, okay. Leslie, I think James has got that. So you come and do these torches for me, please. Just get everything refueled and resupplied. Garcia, you are cooking, which is always obviously very useful, so we'll leave you to it. I think I addressed the whole efficiency issue about not cooking in bulk. That's just because I have had it before where the stove does run out of fuel. James, what are you doing? In fact, no, you can't, because you won't be able to get back inside. There you go. And now just do whatever you want to do. We need to get rid of these corpses because it's distressing our colonists out here. So I think we'll go ahead and put down a couple of graves down. We need 4, I believe. We have four downed raiders. There we go. So yes, let's get 4 graves put down, shall we? If I can click that, that would make it a lot easier. Where are you? Grave. I'll just have them up here. Why not? 2, 3, 4. So they'll be constructed as and when we have somebody available to do so. And then we can start burying those colonists. Well, not they were colonists, they were raiders, weren't they? Yes, we can bury the raiders, and that's going to keep our colonists' mood a little higher when they're in that area, because they're not going to observe the corpses all the while. Okay, so our cotton harvest is completed. Let's get everything hauled back as quickly as we can, please. Don't leave it outside unnecessarily. There we go. Python, what are you up to? Because we're going to need you to start work on the defensive line soon. You have a game of chess with Leslie just while we wait for the junglisks to drop off to sleep. James, you're hauling everything back inside, which is great. So that's plenty of carpet available now. I guess it's going to be almost night time. What is it, 9 o'clock? I think they tend to go to sleep about 10 or 11. Let's just see, it's 10 o'clock now. Yep, they're all asleep. Python, you can... We'll allow use of all these doors. So Python, if you could now start work building everything back up. Garcia, before you go to bed, just quickly refuel that torch lamp for me, please, and then you're free to go to sleep. There we go. Now, as I said, now that our cotton has been harvested, I would like to put some carpet down. In terms of colour, we'll just go for blue. And we're just going to carpet. Okay, we don't even have enough for the first room, but we'll do as much as we can. So it's going to take several harvests worth. In fact, what I'm going to do is expand the cotton growing area like so. Just so we have more cotton growing and we've got more on hand. Python, what are you doing? Please come and work on these traps. That's a priority for you today, my friend. Yes, I know you're unhappy. Or you need something to eat. Do you have any food in your inventory? Yes, you do, so you can eat. So once you've done that, have your breakfast, whatever you want to call it. And then get this built up, please. Just repair that little bit of wall. It's bugging me. That's good enough. There we go. So Python's now working on those. The junglisks will be awake in a few moments if they're not already. But as we can see, they've not actually turned their attention to Python. So I think we might be relatively safe. Python, you need to go off to bed. That's fine. Leslie's researching. James, you are building. And again, the junglisks aren't paying you any attention, so that's fine. You can carry on with that. Just 2 more to do, and then we should be pretty safe. There we go. Oh, while you're here, could you also deconstruct that wall for me? There we go. Okay, so that's that taken care of. You're now going to construct the graves. That's fine. It gets them done. So you've become the target of a jungleisk because it can now access us. However, it is going to trigger these traps. I'd rather it didn't do that, just because it's a waste of resources. So what we'll do, we'll disallow use of that door. You just continue doing your business, and overnight, Python can go and repair this deadfall trap, get the jungleisk. Well, you can stay there, actually, for that matter. And we'll just make sure our colonists stay sort of in this area. Although what we could do as well is put a door here, and when we have a raid appear, we could send a colonist through, hold it open, and that'll just have the same effect, but it'll also stop our spike traps from being activated by any junglisks who happen to pass on through. James is laying the carpet in our room. Brilliant. This does need sewing out. No, bad seasonal temperature, okay. Obviously we are still in the volcanic winter, which isn't helping matters, but so be it. Well, with the defensive line completed, I think we'll call an end to today's episode. It was a little bit hairy at one point. I thought we might lose James when he was hemmed in this corner by two of the raiders, but thankfully we've managed to keep him going. The rice plants are dying off because of the cold. Minus 11, my word. I suppose it is volcanic winter and winter, so that's to be expected. It's also quite unfortunate. Hopefully the temperature will start to rise pretty soon. We're about halfway through winter. I think they're 15 days apiece the months, so just another 6 days to go. And this is the first time we've had any crop fatalities, so we'll just see what happens. Yes, as I was saying, we'll call an end to today's episode, I think. Yes, James found himself in a bit of hot water earlier when the raiders took a little bit of an interest in him, but thankfully no permanent damage was caused. Don't know if that was caused by the stab wound he received or not, but either way he survived, and that's the main thing. Our visiting pet is doing okay. I think we've only got her for a few more days, if I'm honest. Let's have a look. Open the link quest. And yeah, just 2 days to go, and then we'll get some more Glitter World medicine, which is going to be handy. So all that remains for me to say is, as always, ladies and gentlemen, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.